BTS, in my opinion, always has a higher likelihood of going viral because it touches so many different audiences in one foul swoop in a 15 to 30-second ad. And ultimately, sometimes brands will run the BTS as the ad because it evokes and creates so much curiosity on like who the brand is. And it always does. It does pretty well. Why does it seem that BTS sometimes performs better than the actual edit when you're posting on social media?
Well, in all honesty, I think it really comes down to authenticity, and like especially in this day and age, really with AI as well. Next couple years, I feel like the majority of the stuff that we're going to be fed on our feeds and everything is like fake AI stuff, and like authenticity is trustworthy, and like you you can't really fake, at least well, a BTS shot of you saying, "Hey, this is what I did, and here's how I did it." Not only is it like relatable, but people are curious too. Like they want to know, okay, that's really cool. How did you do it? And they'll stay to the end to see the final product.
Yeah. Austin, I'm assuming you're referencing like not only just like Pola stuff, but Instagram as a whole or social media as a whole. But specifically, I think we were impressed by how a few of the reels you've put up that show BTS, so like the Johnny Walker shoot, does like way better than even just posting the finished Johnny Walker video edit or any finished video edit. It seems noteworthy and surprising and worthy of conversation. I think Paul's exactly right. One of the main things is authenticity. It seems like a sort of almost organic grassroots like market that's forming of people desiring some sort of authentic experience online, just because the whole nature of social media is sort of inauthentic in its nature. You're not physically talking and interacting with people. You're on a screen, like typing with people. It's sort of nice to have authentic experiences that go against that sort of thing. So BTS is almost like, I think about looking at a finished commercial product as a little bit distanced from the people who made it, whereas BTS is sort of an invitation into that person's world.
Like you're almost there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, hey, come on, hang out with me while we make this thing together. This sort of phenomenon, I think you can see in other ways too, like how in podcasts or in radio or in YouTube videos, people will do ad reads instead of cutting to commercial. Like in radio all the time, you'd see this too, where the DJs will themselves read the ad and say, you know what, I just tried my Helix bed and I got to tell you guys, like, and go to, helix.com/whatever for 10% off.
That's not a real thing.
Not
a real thing.
We're not sponsored yet. Polo or Helix, please. No. So instead of cutting to commercial, like this seemingly authentic experience of like, hey, you like this YouTube host, you like this podcaster, whoever. Well, hey, they've got a recommendation for you. It's word of mouth is like one of the most effective forms of marketing. Your friends telling you about something. Well, there's the friendly attitude of like this person you follow. This BTS is like an invitation into their world. And I don't know. I think it's an interesting counter to something like AI emerging in the market where it's so quick and easy to make great looking content, but that doesn't necessarily sell if people are more willing to look at something like BTS. Not to say that BTS is like marketing in this case, but
when clients reach out to us and, we jump on a call with them, they ask us, this is the shot list. This is what we need. How much is it? And I always ask them, like, have you guys considered adding behind the scenes to the shot list? And more times than not, they're surprised. They're like, I don't really know how that would work. And, I point to Louis Vuitton or Gucci or something like these large brands in the fashion industry that are kind of paving the way creatively. Sometimes they're showing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And for me, when you're looking at a final product, like if you're a client and you're reached out and we've created something for you, your end goal is to run it as an ad and get it up there and convince someone to spend 30 seconds of their life watching your ad or your video. And that's our job to make it look good. Most of the times, though, the BTS, in my opinion, always does better because you're capturing you have a higher likelihood of going viral because you're catering to the people who want to see like the before and the after, like this is how we shot it and this is the final result. You also are catering to like the studio people or other brands where they're like, hey, let me see how much production they're putting behind some of this stuff. And most of the time it's pretty underwhelming. Like there's really not that much production, maybe a couple lights, scrims. It looks like a lot, but it's not. So you have other people that are looking at like, from a point of view, like the lighting setup, how they got the shot. Some people are really interested in like the emotion of just being on set and what that's like, and pure, like you're saying, like you're inviting someone into your life to see what it's like to work for your brand behind the scenes. So you have that whole audience that you're capturing. You have the capturing of like the before and after audience. You have the audience of like college students who are going to school and doing this, like they want to do this for a living, who they're interested in it. So the BTS, in my opinion, always has a higher likelihood of going viral because it touches so many different audiences in one foul swoop in a 15 to 30-second ad. And ultimately, sometimes brands will run the BTS as the ad because it evokes and creates so much curiosity on like who the brand is. It always does. It does pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a great point, how it can capture multiple different audiences at once. The people who are, in college, like you said, are interested in the before and after, or just, want to see how you got a shot. I think it's also maybe helpful for people who, want to see like different ways of capturing different shots. Like it's one thing to look at a finished shot, but it's another to like peel back the layers and demystify it and just like find a lot of value in someone's like how they set something up. I think that makes a ton of sense. And it's really cool seeing the examples that you've put together. We try and shoot a lot of BTS, whether it's for a client or not, and playing around with different edits. I know you've been using the Instagram edits app. And so have you found that it's really valuable to like use the templates to quickly throw something together on there?
Yeah, the edits app is pretty cool. Aside from like CapCut,
Yeah.
you have CapCuts, you have edits. Back in the day, like maybe 6-7 years ago, you had Over, which we used to use, and it got bought by, I think GoDaddy made a run at like having a social app to create. And it was far ahead of TikTok, but TikTok was just dancing at the time. It wasn't where it's at now. So I think GoDaddy got stiffed on that deal because had they been launching now, it would have been. I mean, they were before Canva as well on the Over app. When you're looking at something like edits and leveraging it, the templates are great to kind of like get ideas from and see how other people are using trending sound. Where I struggle the most is we do a lot of cool stuff here and we publish a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of great shots and behind the scenes that stay on my camera because I'm afraid of posting it. What are other people going to think of it? There's so much uncertainty and self-doubt that I think the edits app has helped me kind of like, no, I'm going to take the video, I'm going to put it into this, and I'm going to just post it. And it's not like DaVinci where you guys can mess around with color. Like there's an immense amount of things you can do with DaVinci. Edits is really for like taking the clip as it is, putting it into something and getting it out there in the world and just letting it go. So I spend a lot of time in the edits app. We have 15 drafts put together that I have not published yet that are just sitting there. But for me, I think the trends, the reels, or like the behind the scenes stuff is just really easy stuff to post as long as you can get over that hurdle of like, I don't know, like what are people going to think of it? We always have we have big brands that follow the account. The creative director of Victoria's Secret is always looking at the stories. So that's something that I'm mindful of is like, is this good enough to be seen by an art director who potentially would end up working with us? And so I don't know. That's the behind the scenes is like the truest, most authentic look into Pola. Like this is what you get.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like it.
Yeah. One cool thing that I've noticed you do too, right away when we started talking about this, you mentioned how they would show like BTS in the sense of it's just like a fly on the wall. You're watching the setup, but then they would cut to what the finished shot might look like and then kind of go back and forth. But what you do instead, partially because the finished shot isn't ready, you'll film the monitor. And so we'll be doing playback You would ask me for playback a lot, and we'll look at it on the monitor, and you'll film that and use that in your behind the scenes reel. So it's partially behind the scenes, but it's also a little bit of what the finished shot will
Kind
look
of kills
like.
two birds, one stone.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I think what I like about that is instead of cutting to the finished shot, we're still staying in the behind the scenes world. It's like, you're still behind the scenes, you're still on set with us. We're just now looking at the monitor, but you're also kind of seeing what the finished product will sort of look like. So it's kind of combining those two.
Yeah.
Like I noticed that in the Johnny Walker behind the scenes where it's like, it's we're there, we're getting the shot, we're dropping the ice, whatever it is, and now it's slow motion, but you're still on set, and now we're back.
I think at the end of the day, it's also just trendy too. Like even with Canvas style, like the actual finished product, they wanted to see part of the set in the video. And there's been a handful of projects that I've worked on where like the set is part of the finished product to make it feel more like authentic and
Right.
like down to earth.
You're right about the monitor. I like doing it because it does put into perspective just how much gear and kit we have sometimes on these shoots. And it from a client side, it lets people know like, hey, we're serious about what we're doing. Me and you messed up a shot, I think it was with Johnny Walker. And we were just like, we were looking off of a tiny screen and you were like, let's just get the monitor. So we bought the client, like we call it the client monitor, but we bought the monitor so we're able to catch the very small mistakes that probably you and I are only going to see, the client would never see, but it bugs us enough and we're perfectionists enough to be like, no, that's not good enough. Let's figure this out.
Yeah. And not only that, but like, yes, it's important in those tiny cases, but there might be something really important that you just don't see, but you would have if you had that monitor.
This is, so I won't play the sound, but being able to see from a third person's perspective, watching you guys do your thing, Mickey there doing hair and makeup, the amount of like kit that's on that rig that you're holding that it takes to get that that shot that looks really simple. It just, I think it sets it into, I don't know, perspective.
Yeah.
How much work actually goes into something like this.
Yeah. And to Paul's point, I think it's so cool. I think this was your idea, Austin, to have the seamless there, but don't just contain the whole shoot within the confines of the seamless. No, show the whole space and that it's a photo shoot and that she's posing, she's a model, but build the whole atmosphere around the wider, almost like meta of the shoot, which is really cool. Again, it builds that authenticity a little bit.
It's just something I've seen larger brands do where they're not really worried about, oh, it's not on the seamless or it's not on the set, we can't post it. It's like, no, people actually like this stuff, so why not post it? When you're a brand and you're thinking about doing BTS, like, I hate to say it, but like we can post these two videos just on our account. We have a smaller following. I would be willing to bet that the BTS does better than the final version, just solely based off the fact that you're showing stuff that like traditionally has been gatekept.
Yes,
like, we see so many ads. I think there was a stat like you're sold from the day that from the hour that you wake up to when you go to bed. If you go to work, you're sold almost 1,500 products in that day. You're advertised to so much. So it's our job to come up with unique ways to catch people's attention. Because like, you could argue, yeah, this is a BTS shoot. You're watching a model, maybe you're a female and you're looking for a new bathing suit. That one little clip of her top, the blue top that she's wearing, might be just enough to get that person over the hump to go to the website and discover your product for the first time, versus just showing a clean, polished version where people know out the gate they're going to be sold. I had a mentor that would tell me people love to buy, but they hate to be sold.
Yeah.
And I think that what the BTS content from my perspective does is it puts someone in a position to buy, whether that's a client that's trying to work with us, whether it's someone who's looking to discover a new fashion brand. You're putting that person in an environment where they have this sense of self-discovery versus an ad. It just, your brain, you're going to be sold. So
yeah, that's a great point. I also love too how there are these two shots. We just saw one where the camera's spinning around and pointing away from the seamless, where we can see a little bit of the messiness of the studio, the cables, the things, and we didn't even bother cleaning those up or even identifying that as a problem, which maybe adds a little bit to the authenticity of, hey, we've just got some equipment back there that it's not a perfectly pristine, you're not turning around, there's like a bunch of lounge chairs or some like, fancy drinks or something. It's like, no, there's some gear like this, but yeah, maybe just adds to that authenticity.
And like BTS, we're gonna film it anyways, so we might as well, like we tell clients all the time, like, hey, we film a lot of behind the scenes stuff for our own personal documentation, whether it's the vlogs or doing this podcast or just having resources to send out. You might as well like use some of it and put together a creative ad and find a way to leverage it.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that point though about people love to buy but not to be sold. And I think that is part of that distance that I think can be created by like watching a finished product versus BTS. Like watching a finished product feels like a lot of times you're being sold to. Like, all right, I'm trying to manipulate you when you watch this, as opposed to no, we're hanging out and we're making something cool. Check it out.
It's a lot more like nonchalant and like raw rather than like force feeding you,
Right.
like right in your face. Like this is like a little more like welcoming.
Where do you guys think this trend is going to go in the future? Is it going to be more prevalent, more and more BTS, or is there going to be like a critical mass and maybe it tips the other way?
I really think like as AI especially evolves and becomes better and better, like the need and desire and want for authentic and real emotional content it's just going to increase. Like I think podcasts are going to be at a premium and everybody's going to want them because nobody hopefully will want to listen to two robots talk and like BTS seeing how something real and actually happened, how it works is I think it's just going to keep getting better and better.
One thing we learned with the Johnny Walker is when we did it and we sent it off to some of like our peers and they gave us feedback on it was, yeah, this looks really good. You guys are going to have to show behind the scenes so people know that you actually pulled this off in camera, rather than like VFX or AI or anything like that. So we've had that conversation multiple times of like AI is doing a really good job at becoming indistinguishable, and companies are now like you kind of go back to elementary school where you had to show your work on your math report. I just sent off today. First thing I did this morning, we've been working this lead for quite a while, this large production, and they asked for a ghost mannequin, and I sent it to them, and they said, "Hey, can you guys send us more images?" And I had an idea of what they were looking for. It was like, you guys want the raw images to see what it looked like on set, because the final product looks so crisp and so pristine. They wanted to make sure they got stiffed by another company that just did AI for them. They wanted to make sure that it was the actual product. So that's what I did is, I happened to take a picture of the studio with the mannequin and that piece on, and then I sent off the working file to show the editing and then the final product as well, showing like this was our work, and I think that is a huge benefit to having the behind the scenes, is being able to say, yeah, this is us.
So there's also, I think what I'm seeing is a premium on showing, hey, this is how we did it. Like the BTS is that crucial ingredient to show a brand. Not only can we make a great end result, but we can put in the work and make it authentic. And maybe that authenticity is part of that. You can almost imagine, we didn't do the canvas style shoot just for the BTS, but maybe there's a shoot someday in the future where the BTS is the end result product.
And I don't think that'll ever go away. That desire for that.
I like, to my bones, I know in the next 60 days we'll have someone reach out. They'll be asking for something like canvas style. Be like, yeah, we shot this, and we'll be able to show the behind the scenes stuff, and they'll be like, yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for. When can we get started? So it almost like expedites our sales process as well, and allows us to bring on people a lot faster to work with.
Which I think, fortunately for us, like we have nothing to hide. We can film exactly the whole process and show that. I would there might be some other like up and coming people who maybe use AI and are asked the same thing, and they're like, actually, no, you can't. No, we don't do BTS. Like proprietary only. Like
this industry, on our side of it, at least, like you have creators and studios who are very just like collaborative and show like, oh yeah, like we've got the guy out in LA who, works on really big productions, and we'll send him an Instagram message and say, hey, how'd you get that? And he's willing to go back and forth with us, no problem. And then you have some creators who are so gate kept. And I think we always preach to our, clients, We're very authentic. We're very transparent. A lot of people would never post behind the scenes because they don't even want the client seeing the lighting setup. And there's so much that goes into
Yeah.
these shoots outside of just the lighting setup. Like that really doesn't matter. It's the skill level, the years and years of mastering the practice that really matters.
Yeah. I guess I think the mindset there might be, if I show you how I got it, you can replace me. Like I'm only the steps I took to get it, as opposed to, my eye, my intuition, my instincts about how to get a shot. So I could see the concern, but I think fortunately for us, we are like surrounded by here a bunch of talented people who all know their stuff and can work together as a team really well and make some great stuff. And so I think that lends to our BTS really well.
Totally. All right. So to close this out, BTS, I believe it's a really important piece of type of content that we post, but we're also encouraging our clients to post it as well because of how authentic it is.
It's very underrated.
Totally.